News Radio 700 WLW.
Customer service sucks. We all know it. And it's going farther and farther away from where it needs to be, or further and further, depending if you want to be grammatically correct or not. And why? I seem to think it's in that state right now because of the way some of these companies, these service companies, are being run. I have an example. I have brought a receipt. American Airlines. The airline industry is a complete disaster. We know that when it comes to customer relations. But American Airlines is laying off, cutting, eliminating 650 customer service positions, ostensibly for the enhancement of the customer experience. That's what they're saying. And what are they doing instead? Those people that might be there waiting to take your call because your flight's been canceled or delayed or for whatever reason. What are they doing? They're replacing these 650 people with artificial intelligence. In fact, it's AI that can actually sound like a real person. Of course, we all know the limitations of AI. AI is only as good as the information put into it. But that's American Airlines doing what they do best. And it's all over. It's not just the airline industry. It's all over. And these companies are doing this for one basic reason. They want to save money. They could give a rat's rear end if it makes your experience better. And it's caught the attention of my next guest, who's all about customer service. In fact, Richard Weylman has just released a book. It came out yesterday. It's 100 Proven Ways to Acquire and Keep Clients for Life. What person in a business wouldn't want that? 100 proven ways to acquire and keep clients for life. Why is the customer service business and the experience that we encounter along the way, why is it in the toilet? Let's bring in Richard Weylman. Maybe he's got it answered. Richard, how are you on this glorious Wednesday?
Just fine, and delighted to have the privilege to be with you today. Thank you.
I'm glad you're here, because if I hear one complaint from anyone who has to deal with a company, be it a service company, a company that provides products, if I have to go into a department store, I hear this a lot. It's awfully difficult to get somebody to help me without going through an entire labyrinth of things. And now along comes AI. And I'm just wondering, have we lost touch from a business sense with the consumer and the face that the company puts on itself, which is the customer service, the people that actually sell you their goods or services, seem to be getting more and more cantankerous. Have we lost touch with consumers in this country?
No question about it. There's really two groups now of people in business. There are people that are focused on transactions. And I'll give you a classic example. I stopped at the one bank this morning where I don't have an account. I asked, I need a roll of quarters for parking meters. And they said, do you have an account here? I said, nope. Well, we can't give you any quarters. Huh. Okay, thank you. So I went to another bank down the street where I do have an account. However, when I walked in, I just said, I need a roll of quarters. She said, happy to get them for you. When she came back, I said, you didn't ask me if I have an account. She said, sir, we're not here to sell you anything. We're here to serve the community.
Wow.
Well, there's your answer, and there is a complete dichotomy. So the reality is when people want to talk about AI, and AI is a very, very useful tool. But what companies are forgetting, and there's many of them, they think, well, we can fire customer service people, or we can reduce staff, and we'll just switch over to AI and let people talk to a computer. Well, how did it work out with chatbots? I think everybody got fed up with the fact that they could not get the answer they needed unless they typed the exact right question with the exact right phraseology. So as a result of that, you have these two groups in the community. One, you've got people that are focused on transactions and reducing costs, thinking they're going to save their way to profitability. And then you have others like Centennial Bank, where I went this morning, where they're all about personalization and humanization. When you do that, you elevate the experience, it makes a difference. I'll just summarize by saying this. Many, many companies and sales professionals, leaders are in love with the product, the platform, the process, and the procedures they have in place. And they love to talk about those. But the consumer, what they cherish and what they're in love with is the experience and the outcome.
Sure.
Is that helpful?
Hey, look, I mean, what you're speaking to and about is what I think a lot of people are concerned about. AI, I think you're right. I think it's a wonderful thing. And Do I think it needs to be regulated? I'm not a big, I'm not somebody that believes in a lot of editing. I think you just leave it out there and let the consumer figure out what's right and what's wrong. But I don't think companies are going to AI out of the goodness of their heart or because it makes it better for the consumer. I think a lot of them are going to AI to save money. I think that's probably the driving reason.
You're right on the screws, Ken. And, if I can reduce staff and go to AI, then, of course, that reduces my overhead. And you're right, AI is a useful tool. However, and as I talk about in 100 Proven Ways, the reality is it needs to be used appropriately and not in lieu of personal engagement. Mm-hmm. It can run the operation side of the business in lots of different ways, build efficiency, effectiveness. It can take your CRM and convert it into a CXM instead of customer relationship management, customer experience management, because it can capture a lot of data. But people want to talk to a person, and that's personalization and humanization. And that's what people are looking for. And when I wrote the book, I did a deep dive on what does that really mean, personalization and humanization. And every CEO I've talked to, every business leader, entrepreneur, when I explain it, they're like, oh my God, we've lost sight of what it's going to take to really have and keep a customer for life.
Mm-hmm. Now, some of these businesses are elective businesses. I want to go into business. I want to sell this. I'm going to conduct my business in this way, and I will rise and fall on my own efforts, my own ability to make the business go. I get that, but some businesses, if not monopolies, are semi-monopolies, and I speak of the airline industry. American Airlines, they're going to cut 650 customer service positions and replace them with AI. Now, AI is ever evolving. It's probably better today than what it was yesterday. But the fact of the matter is, it's still not a human being you're interacting with if 650 customer service positions are going flying out the door. So I'm okay when it's a private business, but when it's something that I have to deal with, and there are a finite number of airlines who only fly a finite number of places out of here, Cincinnati, then it's a problem for me when I can't deal with a human being. Does that make sense?
You're exactly right, Ken. And it's unfortunate they're going down this road. I'm sure their, shall we say, justification is, look how much money we're going to save. We're going to reduce friction, whatever that's supposed to mean. And what they've really done is they're replacing the humanization factor and the personalization with AI. And I'll give you a quick story. I was speaking I speak all over. I do many, many keynotes a year all over the world. And I was speaking in Dallas last week. I flew in early morning. I checked my bag on American. I normally don't fly American. I've had too many bad experiences, but it was the only way to get there in time for the presentation I was to do later that day. So I landed at the airport. I'm standing at badge claim. My driver's standing there with me. The carousel never moves. In 30 minutes, I finally go over to the desk, and this fellow reading the paper, and I asked him, would you check on my bag? And I showed him the baggage stub. And I said, I think most of the people on this flight were probably connecting because the carousel hasn't moved and nobody's come out. He looked and he said, oh, well, your bag's no longer here at the airport. I said, excuse me? He said, your bag's no longer here. I said, sir, you look out the window, see that plane? That's the plane I came in on. He said, well, your bag's not here. So he said, I'll call downstairs, but I'm sure it's gone. I'm like, okay, this is an American Airlines person. My phone rings at that instant, and on my suitcase, I have duct tape green with my phone number on it because just in case. And this guy, he said, are you in where are you going from Dallas? And I said, who is this? He said, this is American Airlines baggage claim supervisor. We tore your tag off of your bag, so we don't know where to send this to, but I didn't want to send it to dead storage. I thought the right thing to do is to call you first on this phone number. I said, I'm standing upstairs in baggage claim. He said, oh, I'll put it on the carousel. It'll be there in a couple of minutes. Now, if it hadn't been for that individual, I would have never got my bag. It would have gone to dead bag storage and got auctioned off in a month or two. Yeah. So let's replace that individual with AI. This is going to be a spectacular experience.
Richard, why are so many people so upset with their jobs? Have you noticed that we live now and have to deal with others in a society where people just don't want to be there? And it's well documented that there are all of these unfilled jobs and so many people that don't want to work. But it seems like it's in these particular service industries. Now, that was great. That was great customer service that you got from an employee. Now, whether or not he's like that on a day-to-day basis, we'll never know. But it just seems like people that interact with people, that are the face of businesses, simply don't want to be there. How did we get there where people simply don't like their jobs?
Okay, there's two ways to look at this. And the first is we went after, let's say, the great pandemic, we'll use that phrase. Then we had the great resignation. So people changed jobs because they were fed up with a myriad of things. Now people are going through a great reevaluation. Consumers are deciding, am I with the right company, right firm, going to the right restaurant, right doctor, right dentist, right financial advisor, right real estate, right whatever. And as a result, there has to be a new level of re-engagement by companies and professionals to keep their customers and capture more. Now let's look at it from the employee point of view. The employee is in exactly the same place. There are 4 things that people are looking for today, Ken, from all of our research, because I've heard personalization, humanization, elevated customer experience. Well, what does that mean?
Right.
So I interviewed people, almost 1,000 people, and it comes down to 4 things people are looking for. They want somebody that's kind, thoughtful, caring, and empathetic interaction. Kind, thoughtful, caring, and empathetic interaction, and a level of support. Now, if you think about that, that's exactly why employees are leaving, because what's happened, the companies are so focused. Your example of American is a classic example. If I was working in customer service and they lost 100 of people in my department, I would begin to ask myself, what's my future here? Because we have leadership that is not, shall we say, empathetic to people. They're not necessarily caring. They're not demonstrating kindness and not demonstrating thoughtfulness. Now, they'll talk us straight, but they don't demonstrate. Yeah. And I'll give you an example if you'd like real quick.
Sure, absolutely.
Let's look at Chick-fil-A. All right, now, full disclosure, I knew Truett Cathy, the founder. We traveled together. We had many conversations. But he always said to me, Richard, he said, I always remind my team that we're in the people business. We're not in the chicken business. So be kind and be thoughtful. Mm-hmm. So when we got ready to write 100 Proven Ways to Acquire and Keep Clients for Life, what I did is I went to Chick-fil-A and I walked the line of all the cars. They got double lines. And I asked people, why are you here? Oh, the chicken business. Fantastic. Oh, I said, so you're here for the chicken? Well, we're really here because they're so kind and thoughtful here. They're very kind and thoughtful here. If I heard that once, I heard that 40 times. Now, if you think about it, what they've done culturally is they have created a culture where they're what? Thank you, my pleasure. Mm-hmm. Those are the words that are used. And as a result of that, Chick-fil-A, I'll just put it in context, they're closed every Sunday. That means they basically, put it another way, they close November 15th and they reopen January 1st, and yet they produce more revenue per store than any other franchisee in the world. Now, how is that possible? Because people absolutely love the experience they have there. If you look at their advertising, Ken, they don't talk about the chicken sandwich. What do? They have people on the couch talking about their experience. Right. Because when you give people an elevated experience, it engages them emotionally, and the lifetime value of those people is almost impossible to calculate.
Yeah, well, I think, by the way, and I want to reset here. We're talking with somebody that knows what customer experience is all about. Richard Weylman has a book out, just came out in the last couple of days, 100 Proven Ways to Acquire and Keep Clients for Life. All right, so just the way we've talked, and this has gone in the last few minutes, it would seem to me the root of all of this, to me at least, would be at the upper levels of management of these companies. Because if you don't have that kind of message that, for example, Chick-fil-A has coming down from the top, if it doesn't filter down through your mid-managers into your franchisees and the people that they hire, you're out of luck. So it sounds to me like the reason why people maybe get a little upset with the way they're treated by companies is because the people that are dealing with these potential customers aren't treated as well or are not fitting into whatever that company is all about, and what that company is all about should be set from the top. It sounds to me it's a problem inside the C-suite.
That's exactly right, Ken. Right on the screws, brother.
Yeah,
and you don't have to be a big company. You can just be, you can be an air conditioning company in town with 12 employees. I mean, if you really think about it, Ritz-Carlton is knocking the cover off the ball. But what is their vision? What is their vision? And I talk to CEOs all the time. What's your vision for the experience your customers are going to have? Well, let me tell you the vision of the company. No, what's the vision for the experience the customer is going to have? Well, they'll be satisfied. Well, satisfied clients are loyalty neutral. We know that 20-30% of satisfied people are looking to move their business. Companies do customer satisfaction surveys. That's a look back. You're looking back.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking back at a past transaction. What a CEO, what a leader has to do, even if you're running just a team, you don't run the company, maybe you run a team in service or you run a team in purchasing. You have to have a vision. Look at Ritz-Carlton, a place where what is their vision for the customer? A place where the genuine care and comfort of our customers is our highest priority. Look at Freddy's Steakburger and Custard. They just won the National Fast Restaurant Award as the best fast casual in the country. They're one of the smallest chains. They beat Smashburger. They beat Culver's, everybody. And why? Well, as you know, I have a large consulting division of my firm, and we help them to really get the Freddy's way in place. And their vision is to serve our guests with genuine hospitality in a fun, inclusive environment. Yeah. And they are blowing the cover off the ball. Yeah. Look at Jeff Bezos. I mean, everybody looks at that picture of him in Seattle sitting in that little table with that old-style computer, and everybody said he worked hard. Okay, yeah, he did. But what they never show you is the other wall. And on the other wall, he had a huge thing he wrote by hand. I'm going to build the most customer-centric company in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That started at the top.
Yeah. Yep.
You're exactly, boy, Ken, that is, and it's so hard for leadership to admit that they need to have a vision for the outcome, for the experience that people are going to have, because that influences culture. And I'll just summarize by saying this. If you don't have a clear vision for what the experience is going to be for your customers, don't worry about it. Your employees are going to be all about themselves as opposed to all about the customer, and they're going to get annoyed with the way they're treated, and they're going to leave.
Yeah, yeah. The Chinese have a proverb for that. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And
well said.
I think a lot of this falls back to that. The book, again, is 100 Proven Ways to Acquire and Keep Clients for Life. Richard Weylman, and it's available, if you can find it, on Amazon, and apparently it's flying off the shelves in bookstores. I got to get a copy of this. It's just out in the last day. Richard, thank you so much for your time. This was terrific. Stay well, and hopefully we can do this again.
Look forward to it, Ken. Thank you so much for the invitation.
You're welcome.